to move that we open the Monday, April 18th, 2022 combination public meeting work session for the Village of Southampton Planning.
45 minutes.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. McFarland. Okay, so we have one person in the audience who is here in concerning Heart of the Hamptons, which is the last item on our agenda under site plans. I thought we would move it up to the front just so that he doesn't have to sit here. From what I understand, we don't have a complete application yet, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. We received the site plan on Wednesday, and today we received additional plans and materials that just need to be reviewed before this can be considered complete. So there's really nothing to discuss tonight other than the fact that it's not complete yet.
Okay, so can you give us your name?
Yes,
How you represent?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, my name is Anton Borovina. I represent Jim McFarland and others who are very much concerned about the application to convert the ambulance barn into a food pantry. Now, I appreciate the fact that you accelerated the agenda and that it's going to be adjourned to a later time. May I say, now that I know that the application is complete, if I may just say, according to my information, of course, as members of the board, you can determine this for yourself. I believe that the additional information that was required based upon our review of the minutes of March 14th and the submission made by the applicant's attorney is that they would that the planning board would have a site plan review concerning traffic and traffic flow. Mm-hmm. Develop a plan to have assigned pickup times for food pantry patrons. We would like to have an indication of how many people will be actually lined up to be served and exited when they visit the food pantry. I understand that they represented to the Board of Trustees, and I believe to you, that they're going to be only open twice a day. I'm sorry, twice a week, Wednesday and Friday, and just there's plans on how, when, and where there will be food delivery. Some kind of site control, some kind of mechanism to indicate how the church's parking lot is going to be used during the time the food pantry is being operated at Heart of the Hamptons. As you can well appreciate, I would think that let's assume you gave site plan approval. 2 weeks, notwithstanding promises made, 2 weeks later, the church could very well turn around and say, because it's been taken over by someone else, we're discontinuing the ability to use the parking lot, the church's parking lot. So it seems to me that, in my opinion, that some kind of site control, adequate site control, be established, so that 10 years down the road, it's when should something happen, you as a member of the planning board will be able to say you asked for it and you were expected to be complied with.
Those issues have been, everything you've mentioned so far has been brought up to you.
Oh, this is,
So I just want to know that we hear you.
I think I have a few other things, but I can do it at the appropriate time in terms of deciding the refrigeration unit. I think that's at the appropriate time.
We just received those plans, so
You're evaluating. As long as I just want to make sure that I was on the same page with you are, that this information that I just elicited will be forthcoming and made part of the application, so we can have the opportunity to respond. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
I have a question regarding this for Alice. Alice, are you on Zoom?
I'm here.
I drove by the site today and there is a sign up that says the future home of Heart of the Hamptons, which I find to be a little antagonistic right now because it's not approved. And I think that it's getting the neighborhood a little up in arms. So is that something that we should discuss with the applicant?
I don't know who put that sign up, but if it doesn't have the proper approvals, we should bring it to the attention of the building department.
Okay. Great. Thank you. I'll call the building department in the morning just to check on that.
Excuse me, also where, I did not get the last name of Anton, if that could just be.
Yes, Borovina, Borovina, Boro, V as in Victor, INA.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Okay, why don't we,
So we,
good with that?
we have to approve, do we, Tony, a mutually agreed extension?
I don't think so.
Okay, we don't do
There's no
it then.
site plan. There's no complete plan yet, so,
Okay, thank you.
okay. So let's hop back to the public hearing section of tonight's meeting, 99 Sanford Place. This public hearing was held open for a week because of inadequate posting. The signs blew away or somebody took them down. So if there's anyone in the audience, either on Zoom or in person, that has something to do with this application, speak then.
Does anybody have their hand up, Kat?
No, Antoinette is running it, but there's
Okay.
no hands up.
No hands
Okay.
up.
Okay. Okay,
Okay. So, okay, I guess
so we can consider closing the public
closing the
hearing.
public hearing. And I just for my own personal information, is there a written comment period of time after
There's-
this?
Alice, there's no need to have a written comment period, right?
No, this was for both purposes, written and oral submissions.
Okay.
And I don't think that any were received.
Okay. Therefore, I would like to move that we close the public hearing for 99 Sanford LLC, 99 Sanford Place. Can I get a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. So moving into subdivisions, 550, 554 LLC, Hill Street LP. The applicant has requested an adjournment to May 2nd. That's in 2 weeks, right?
Yep. They've done this before where they've asked for adjournments to the next meeting, so it doesn't really give you time to actually adjourn it in time for people to know, so. In
Yep,
advance.
Tony, apropos of your observation about a sign up by the Presbyterian Church for Heart of the Hamptons, at this application site, I observed directly, there's a lot of work going on. There has been for several years, the clearing of the land, of which there's a specific provision in our code that until a plan is approved, you can't do what it might ultimately be approved to do. It is advertised at least once in detail in the newspaper for sale for the basically for what the Zoning Board of Appeals proved. And there are signs out on the road to sell the subdivisions. That may be perfectly normal. And I wish Mr. Zohowski all the best in accomplishing his goals and keeping with everything in the neighborhood. But if these are issues that affect how the things proceed in front of the Village Appeals, Alice, maybe you can investigate, what do we do? Do we just tell the building
I am
department?
recused.
What do we do?
I'm recused on this application.
Oh, I forgot. Oh,
All right.
forgive me. Yeah, wrong lady. Oh, I can't ask
Okay, well,
Alice. When-
Alice,
when-
can we ask you, because this-
Alex, can you talk to the building department? As we work on this stuff, you know, it's what do they call it, death by 1,000 cuts. What can we tell the people? It might be proper for them to wait because it tends to exacerbate comments that we've already heard, et cetera. So can you talk to the building department about what's the right thing to do?
Alice, maybe you can comment on this because the same thing is happening. 99 Sanford is also being actively marketed as the subdivision that isn't approved yet. So I don't know.
Well, I don't think there's anything wrong with marketing a property. The board, doesn't have the ability to prohibit someone from marketing a property.
Right.
It's, it sounds like what they're marketing is consistent with the law and what has been permitted in the past. So I don't see any problem with someone marketing their property.
Okay, that's a good answer. I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't interfering with I'll call it the due process of these appeals from the building department that go to the various boards. So thank you. If that's correct, good answer.
Okay, so I need some advice here. Are we just gonna adjourn this every 2 weeks, or do we have to?
Well, I would recommend that we advise the applicant that they should give us a little bit more notice, being that we meet every 2 weeks or 2 or 3 weeks now.
Mhm.
And that in all fairness, they really should request the adjournment that they really need. If
Yeah.
they know that they're not going to be ready, if they're almost ready, then that's one thing. But at the same time, we're going to need to review it. When this package comes in, it's going to take us a couple of weeks to review it. There's a lot to this application. So I would, just have them be fair to the people that are concerned about this application.
And I think there's a considerable learning curve within the board too on this application, because it's been around for a long time. We can't say we're gonna adjourn it until September. They have to request an adjournment.
Now, we know that I'm not going to be able to review this even if it comes in tomorrow by next week, right? So I think the planning board could, on their own motion, adjourn it for a month. And that way, if it does come in next week, then we might actually have some time.
We don't want 2 months.
I would
That's
just say
too
1 month, because if it does come in tomorrow, for instance, that would be enough time probably for us to get the review done for the middle of,
So it's May
the
2nd,
middle of May, yeah.
to May 16th.
Maybe, no, another month.
So instead of May 2nd, it would be a month from today for another.
Well, what about a month from May 2nd? No, too much?
I just think if it did come in tomorrow, I would be able to review it in time for the middle of May. So,
Okay.
but that's a big if, of course.
All right, so I guess I'll make a motion. I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn this application to the May 16th combination meeting.
I'll second that.
Aye.
Hi, I'm so
Thank you.
surprised.
Aye.
I'm sorry I got
That was an
stuck.
aye.
Pardon me?
That was an aye, not a high.
We're in the middle of the meeting. I'm glad you're here though. Okay, so let's move it to May 16th. And if it happens again, maybe we'll just talk to them about, maybe they can come in and discuss with us
Right.
realistic plans and.
And I will send an email to the applicant's attorney.
Great. I would like to ask this gentleman what he's here for. So we,
111 Main Street.
111 Main Street. Oh, does the board mind if we pull that one forward a little bit? Wait a minute. Where's my-
Yep.
Number 5.
Oh, yes. So we're gonna jump to site plan for 111 Main Street, also known as Southampton Shopping Center. This is an incomplete application at this point, but we do.
And you are,
Richard Mado, architect, for Sean Leonard, architect PC, representing the owners.
Okay. How can we help you?
The application, we already went through the ARB process. We have approval. And we were in the process of obtaining a building permit. And we're notified that we had to go to planning first. So we've already got an ARB. It was a bank, which we're converting to retail. And we're sprucing up the front a little bit, new windows. Nothing changes on the site.
That's one of our concerns.
It's all retail. At one point, it was brought to us, it was going to be bank and retail.
I think it's all just one
Now it's all
retail.
retail.
Correct.
Okay.
Were you able to send that?
so I did send around a comment memo. I'll give you a copy
Sure.
before you leave.
Yeah.
Much of what is required under the site plan chapter isn't appropriate here because they are not making changes to the grading and so forth.
Right.
So we did have some consideration should be made to what to do with that drive-through lane. Is it still needed? Is it safe for pedestrians to be walking around there,
Right.
going in those new doors?
We did eliminate, well, as you know, that was a drive-through there with a teller. We did eliminate that.
Right.
And that curb cut, the existing curb cut to the west, we still need because that's service for the back of the building there. So whatever you want to do with that front of the.
It's the
We're also
section between the two that.
Correct.
that I think we are most concerned about is from a public safety standpoint.
Okay, well, we're also improving that entrance there that faces Nugent. We're going to fix the ramp there, or create a ramp to get it to be ADA compliant as well.
Okay.
In that section.
But you understood what I said, right?
Absolutely.
Like, we'd like that road to go away.
Okay,
Okay, if we can
Good.
consider that, it would be great.
okay.
Tony, I saw the plans, and when we last had an informal session on this project, as I remember, they were going to keep a bank in the corner, et cetera. And we were concerned about the vehicle access to the driveway. Are we going to keep the driveway so there still continues to be vehicle access from the ramp and into this, what's now the CVS parking lot?
The plan was, yes, to keep the pavement there,
Okay.
unless you feel differently, then we address it.
I mean, I would want to also get input from the fire marshal and the fire department if
Sure.
there's a safety reason to keep, at least for emergency vehicles around the building, but if it's not needed, it would be great to see it not
Yeah.
used.
Okay.
Make it green.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have a copy for you.
Okay.
I mean, if the board, and it'll change, if the plans change, you know, if they are actually going to remove the pavement, then we'll need some of the information that we're asking for. We would normally ask for grading and drainage and planting and so forth, but otherwise those things could be waived later on. So we'll wait on that and figure out what's appropriate to waive
Okay.
as far as the site plan requirements, but yeah, we would encourage that.
All right, great.
Good observations, Kathy. That's excellent.
Thank you, Richard.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we'll be in touch.
We're jumping around a little tonight.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go back to number one, which is Town of Southampton, 51 Pond Lane. There's no discussion on this tonight. It's adjourned until July, so just want to get that sheet taken care of. Are you here for Heart of the Hamptons?
I'm here for two things, Heart of the Hamptons and 71 Hill.
Okay, 71 Hill is our next agenda item. So
Right. I don't mind if you take Heart of the Hamptons.
Yeah, why don't we do that?
We already did them.
Yeah. So we should just let,
If I may, I walked out and Linda was here and I told her that apparently it was adjourned. She was not aware of that.
Right.
You did get all my submissions,
yeah,
right?
so
You got them late. I
yeah,
know.
exactly. So that's all we wanted to say tonight is that, you know, we're still getting materials and we are reviewing them. And,
Okay. I
you know,
think
we only
you're
got the
through.
site
I
plan
think
last Wednesday, so.
Okay, all right, all right, fine.
So
Just have all the information that we
One comment that I made earlier when you weren't here is that there's a sign up on the site that says the new home of Heart of the Hamptons.
Yeah, I have to look into that.
Yeah, please. It's
I will look into that.
okay.
And there's one more thing, is that we got the traffic circulation diagram. Are you planning on submitting some kind of a narrative to explain that? I think that would be really helpful. You know, how the site controls are going to take place.
Yeah, if I can, we can do that. Should I stand up?
I guess so, yeah.
It actually doesn't matter.
Okay, never mind, then I won't.
We can do that. The concern was that there might be times when the village, the police, or anyone else, I don't know, there might be unusual circumstances from time to time, like the pandemic, or something that where the police or something might want us or the village to do something a little different. And we're a little bit concerned that if it's, you know, a condition of the permit to have a particular circulation plan that isn't can't be
Right. There may be
Flexible.
cases where it doesn't work.
flexible. I mean, it is a public parking lot and, that was the concern. So,
I mean, I think standard procedures would be helpful, just to understand how this is going to work.
standard procedures can be done.
Right?
Okay, well,
Yeah, definitely, because that.
Yeah.
That's, the-
Linda, if it's a public parking lot, that's fine, but we have no information to that regard. If it's a private parking lot under the control of the
the
Presbyterian
village has a
Church.
lease. The village has a lease with
Okay,
the
well,
church.
they do.
Yeah.
we don't know anything about that. Can we get the terms of all that so we understand it better? It's dark, it's just a lot. What control does the vestry of the church have? What control does the village have to make changes? I mean, not just for funerals, but we're in the
No, it's open
blank.
to the public. Yeah, it's
We're-
leased to the village. Okay,
Okay,
it's leased to the village. For
that's
public
news.
access.
That's news.
new?
Thank you.
It is news
Yep.
to us.
Oh,
honestly.
okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, because there's some talk that the parking lot is not controlled by the local church, it's controlled by the greater organization of the church. And
It's leased to the village and there's a signed lease in village. Hall.
understood and
Yeah.
glad to hear that, but we're gonna have to satisfy the public with that, so it would be good if we, any particulars would be super.
It's just simple stuff. We just need the building blocks and maybe we can make a good decision, but a lot of stuff is just take our word for it and we don't understand all of it the way I think the burden says we should. That's all. And I'm sorry if it's more work for you, but this is brand new for these purposes.
Alan, I agree. And actually, in the past, the board has required that when access and parking is taking place through an adjacent site that is not owned by the same entity, that we get some sort of documentation on how that access and parking will be used. We did the same thing for 7 Powell Avenue.
Yeah, and the other issue, well is not there. She is also concerned, and my history says it's a justifiable concern, my history in dealing directly with Heart of the Hamptons. What I think it's a 30-year lease from the village. What are the restrictions, if any, on the lease from changes in the future on operations for the use of the site? For about 10 years for Heart of the Hamptons, I would go a couple of times a week and deliver used clothing, for instance, from my daughters, which they were thrilled to get and handed on to their constituents. What if we're now dealing with 2 days a week? I mean, what if for very good reasons they want to make changes? We ought to know, as in approving all this, what is the flexibility, I guess, in the lease from the village trustees about making changes that somebody's going to claim affect the neighborhood and are fundamental. And I know Wella raised, her first point Wella raised when she was there is exactly this. How do we run this for 30 years? And we the village proper through the trustees. So if you can give us a little briefing on that as well on the application, Linda, it would be lovely.
Well, anytime you approve a site plan, you don't know how long a particular business is going to be there in operation. You don't know how long it's going to be an office or a bank or a retail store or anything else. That is, I think, not really part of the site plan process to establish conditions that'll be ongoing 30 years from now. I mean, we have a lease with the village, and the village granted a permit for special use. And yes, we have every intention of working with the village and being flexible every step of the way. But I don't think that frankly, I don't think it's appropriate for it to be part of a site plan review, what our hours of operation are going to be in 20 years. I think that's something we want to avoid, frankly, not just for Heart of the Hamptons, but as a community.
Well,
and also I think there's some case law on that about planning boards getting involved in hours of operation and everything.
I
To the
agree with
extent yeah, to the extent that we're talking about traffic circulation and those kind of things, fine, we can talk about that. But I really, in terms of what hours we're going to be open, I think that's inappropriate.
Thank you.
Okay, I agree with your argument 100%. You argue very well. Absolutely, but we're not approving we're approving a brand new initiative undertaken by the village trustees, the conditions of which we can read in black and white, but which are over a 30-year time period that affect the related issues that we are approving. So my guess is it's balanced, it's got to be flexible, life changes, but I don't think your argument can be good for us for planning purposes 100%. So I may be wrong, I'll be outvoted, but I do think we got to understand it a little better. We've gone from 1 day a week to 2 days a week because of COVID. And that was a fundamental change in food, just food.
Wait a minute,
And
the COVID people didn't even have any kind of agreement that I know of.
Of course not. I know that wasn't a lease from the village. That was operations. I'm just saying changes happen and we need to be witting about what is affected by those changes over a 30-year period. And if we're told we can't, then we won't. I agree with you. You will carry the day. Your argument is persuasive to all judges, including ours. So I'm with you. You state it very well. You're a good counsel. I understand it.
Well, okay, we'll take your other points into consideration. I just want to put that out there. It's not, none of this is over. We're having a conversation, but.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
that's understood.
Yeah. So one of the things that I said is that if the arrangement with the church goes away, then, does the planning board get another shot at reviewing it? And because if that arrangement isn't there for the traffic circulation and for picking up food, then the site may not work. And if, as long as there's some kind of understanding that,
I'm on the planning
back to the-
board and your mother's reviewing the house, and we'll call
I would
it
think
shortly.
that it would come back to the planning board, because that's instrumental, not the right word, but that is part of.
I understand your point. I understand your point.
So I think that,
I understand your point
that
as
was
far as the parking goes.
right,
Yeah.
parking and the circulation, yes. So, Anton, before you get up, we're really not taking public comment tonight.
It's not fair, by the way. You can't do this. It's not fair. Not
It is
fair.
fair. We're not taking a public.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right. But
application.
just, what's happening, by the way, is that the rights of the public are adversely affected when, in all due respect, when the applicant can speak at length. And as a result, say things to the board. And by the way, I presume next time I speak, will I be limited to 3 minutes?
I don't know. If you continue in this thing, you might be, but this is not a public hearing. You're going to have a chance. You will have a chance for this application to be spoken about with the public.
Chair, just so you know, I heard you say that this is not a public hearing and that you adjourned it, but I do want you to know.
It's
that-
not a public hearing for this application tonight.
Okay,
I
I
thought
just
it
wanted
was.
you to know that there's a hand up from Walter Dean in the audience. I just wanted you to be aware.
Who's Walter Dean?
I don't know.
So I think, we often have work sessions where the board is able to discuss the applications and get clarity from the applicant and to give feedback up to the applicant on what type of information they need to have a complete application. So here we have an incomplete application. I saw that there was a diagram about the traffic and how cars are going to come in, and we need more clarity. That's why I
Absolutely. You
wanted
have a right
to.
to that. I thought tonight was a public hearing, by the way. I thought tonight was a public.
Well, you misread the agenda. I'm sorry.
Well,
It's actually adjourned.
Yeah.
Right?
It was a
Well,
public hearing, but adjourned.
Okay, so
No,
Heart of
it
Hamptons
wasn't,
is
no.
currently not a complete application. We're going to move on with our agenda. Thank you for the input that you gave us.
Was it adjourned on Friday?
Was it, I'm sorry, do we know what the next adjourn date will be?
It's not adjourned because there's not a complete application.
Oh,
So
that's
it
an
will
answer.
be on. It will be on for, we hope to have the plans reviewed for the next.
We just
time.
need some time.
Whatever.
We need some time.
Sure.
It was never posted as a public hearing.
May I just ask a question?
has this gone through and like this, you know,
Are you asking because of the sign that's up?
kind of.
Okay, it has not gone through yet, obviously, we don't have a complete application
Okay,
yet.
okay,
So
I appreciate
it has
that.
not gone through, and there will be ample notice to the public when it's time to come in and talk.
This is
Yes.
actually the first time on
the
it.
building department, and it showed public meeting on the agenda on Friday. And
That's how I read it.
that's how we read it. It must have
It
been
is always-
changed.
It always, these are public meetings, yes. These are public meetings, and we got away from work sessions and
I
public
have
meetings.
every right to do
because-
that, of course.
So it is a public meeting, but this will, hasn't been a noticed public hearing, and so, I mean, we did just receive the application on Wednesday. We,
It was okay to have the opportunity, yep.
The only problem, these two gentlemen come from a long, they come, they live how many miles from here? So it's, it's sort of. There was a file placed in there at noon on Friday. I was told by the building department it was complete.
And can you put a sign that says future home before it is a future home? Because it says future home of.
We're discussing that for the applicant.
That's really like beyond the pale.
Yeah, I made that call this afternoon before the meeting, and we're.
Okay, great, great, thank you.
Thank you.
You
everyone.
got it.
Bye. Thank you.
So there seems to be confusion between public hearing and public meeting.
Right,
Perhaps we can make that clearer in the building department.
Well-
Because people are adjusting their time schedules to be a part of this. They can't participate.
right. But we are just, so in fairness, though, we are discussing these applications. People that are interested generally do want to come.
They can come and
But
listen.
exactly. So, and this is the first time this is on the agenda for the site plan. And so it is a little confusing that we've had work sessions separate from public meetings in the past, and we went to both, and mostly because we knew we were gonna have a lot of site plans that we're gonna have to review because of interior modification. So we might want to go back to the work session, public meeting format. I don't know. That's up to you guys to think about.
Well, Linda, I've had probably 6 phone calls today on that side, so
I don't have the answers.
I know, but
I am,
it's gonna,
I will find out.
I was just trying to avoid what just happened, so.
But we just finished with you.
That went so fast.
Yeah.
Well, actually, we jumped ahead, just so you know, Molly. We jumped ahead and then we went back again. And so we've kind of been all over the place. So it didn't go that
I-
fast.
There was only one person here for this, and I thought that we would accommodate that person, so they didn't have to sit through the whole meeting. I didn't realize.
Stick around, I'll fill you in.
Okay.
Okay, I mean.
Yeah,
Let me fill you in. Stick around.
I mean, we're still incomplete. We're getting, things are still coming. in, so.
Okay. So are we ready for 71 Hill?
I'm ready for 71
All
now.
right, let's do it. Number 2, site plan review is
Yeah.
71
No,
Hill
I
Street
typed this
LLC.
Good.
And tonight we want to discuss the part 2 and 3 EAF, correct?
Yeah.
Most of the board,
Yes.
and maybe consider adopting negative declaration.
So, yeah, we review the plans and, we just received additional site plans that are more complete than the last batch because we had a lot of comments. But from the perspective of the project, we reviewed those plans. We coordinated with other involved agencies. We got some comments back from other involved agencies, and the applicant addressed those items. So based on all of that information and review of the part 1 EAF, we prepared the part 2, which basically goes through all the resource areas and says, okay, is this going to be no impact, a small or minor impact, or a moderate to large impact? And in every case, it was either no or a small impact, and therefore we are recommending that board adopt the deck. Having been said, you have my recommendation. Are there any questions?
I don't have any questions.
I don't have any questions.
I have no questions.
Okay. Yeah, it's pretty clear.
Okay.
So,
I'll move that we declare a negative declaration on sequence on 71.
thank you, Mr. McFarland.
I second.
All in
71
favor?
LLC.
Yes.
No. You said 171, it's
No,
71.
71 LLC. Sorry, I'm not so good on this MacBook. It's my apologies.
That's okay. I just want to make sure the motion was clear.
No, thank you.
Okay, we had a second from,
Lisa,
From Lisa.
okay,
So,
I think a roll call makes sense, right, Alice?
Yes.
Okay. Internet?
Yep, I'm here. Miss Cowell, how do you vote?
Aye.
Miss Claire, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Piazza, how do you vote?
I,
And Mr. McFarland, how do you vote?
aye.
So we will continue with the site plan review. We received the full package, and so we have some engineering, some review, we have some older comments, so.
Okay.
I hope that we'll have something back for the May 2nd meeting that we can discuss.
That would be great because I would like to move forward to scheduling a hearing.
Yeah.
And- Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. So Tony, I'll have you sign this before, and then we'll put it.
next week. Okay.
I'll leave you all to yourselves.
The next item on our agenda is Elegant Affairs 230 Elm Street. We have the public hearing scheduled for the next meeting.
Yeah.
On May 2nd. There's been an email thread sent around. Did everybody get a chance to see that? I sort of read it where the person in that, the question was that at this public hearing, were they going to be able to discuss site plan issues not having to do with the ADA ramp and all that? And someone said, yes, that they were. But I thought that meant once there is a site plan, we really don't have a site plan before us with changes to the site except for the ramp. So I'm not sure if I misread that or what they truly meant, but I want to make it very clear to anybody who might be Zooming from the public that the only thing before us at this time is that the ADA accessibility ramp. Alex, did that cover it pretty well?
Oh, he's speaking. He's on.
Yeah, we're not hearing you, Alex.
Are you able to hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes.
I think that was very clear. Thank you for clearing that up. And if you'd like me to respond to that email thread, I can do that.
That would be super helpful. This time of year for me is a little bit difficult too, but yeah, I think we're going to have to massage this a little bit until the public hearings. Thanks, Alex. And the last thing, the last application is Pastor Family LP 30 Main Street. Oh, this is a very minor interior alteration that we have a resolution prepared for tonight, right? If the board agrees. So if you have a chance to look at it.
I have not. No.
When I say you, I mean the entire.
Yeah, well, I haven't.
Alan, what about you?
On the restaurant, the fire commissioner for the basement.
Yes.
Yes.
I think this is something has come before us with this expanded interpretation of our code, and I would be in favor of granting it immediately so they can get to work.
Okay, I agree. I think we should take just a quick look.
Okay, so where would I put
Here it
the
is.
plan? So it could be on the screen.
On the table.
Actually, I'm gonna circle the area.
Do you need a hand?
No.
Okay.
So I have a miniature version of it. Face the board.
And I'll get it pulled up.
And I'm gonna put an arrow there. And that's the arrow.
If it's helpful, I can also share the screen with the electronic plans.
That's even better.
That is even better.
Yes.
Here we go. How's that?
Thank you, Alex.
How did we manage before, Alex?
That's the wrong screen though, Alex.
Oh,
Oh,
okay,
light
well.
bulbs.
Oops, let me make sure I'm sharing the right one.
You had the right one up first.
Yeah, how's that?
Yeah.
That's it.
Love it.
Oh, good. This is the version that I highlighted for you. So if you look at that yellow blob right there, this is the basement
Mhm.
of the corner of 30 Main Street. And let's see, San Ambrose, is that how you say it?
Yes.
Yep.
Yummy stuff, restaurant, and there's other uses in that building. All they needed to put is a firewall in the basement. And because this is a special exception use, that's why it triggered site plan review. Because the board of trustees was concerned that, of any intensification of even a use that is a permitted use, or if you're going from one restaurant to another, for instance, that, maybe you'd expand the bar area, or you have outdoor seating or something. So any of the special exception uses actually needs to come before this board as well. So there's going to be these cases where it's a minor, they need a building permit, so it comes to the planning board as well. But in this case, it's the fire marshal had asked us.
Okay. Is everybody satisfied?
Yeah.
Okay. So,
So I have a resolution here that if you want. Resolution, you don't have to read it. No,
okay.
it's too long for that. But it basically is saying that the board approves. Yeah.
Okay. So, but I should make a motion that we approve it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion that we approve the minor interior alterations for a firewall in the basement of 30 Main Street for Pastor Family LP.
Seconded. Seconded.
Thank you, Mr. McFarland. And this is roll call.
I think so, yeah.
Roll call, please.
Okay. Miss Claire, how do you vote?
Aye.
Miss Cowell, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair, how do you vote?
Aye.
And Mr. McFarland, how do you vote?
Aye.
Okay, motion is passed. I'll fill out the paper here. Okay, is there anything, because this is a, I was gonna say work session. Is there anything that we want to discuss as a board that we haven't, right?
Chair, I had texted that the minutes for 314 and 328 were circulated and comments were accepted and they could pass if you guys wanted to vote on them.
What were the dates?
314 and 328.
Oh,
And the
right.
442 were just circulated with comments.
Okay, why don't we approve those minutes? I did have one question, but I realized that it was Linda, so we're good with those. Okay, I'd like to move that we accept the minutes for March 14th, 2022 special meeting.
Second it?
All in favor?
Aye.
And I would also like to move that we accept the minutes for the March 28th, 2022 meeting. Second, please.
Second. Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great. Thanks, Antoinette, for those. And that concludes our meeting. So,
Motion to close.
yeah, I'd like to move that we close the meeting.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.